Thanks, Arthel. And now to your money. Car companies starting the year off pretty strongly, reporting an increase in sales. But one factor putting buyers in the driver's seat may be looser credit standards. According to a credit reporting company, more car loans are going to borrowers with less than perfect credit scores. So is this a good idea? Joining us is Rich DeSalvo, former managing director at Morgan Stanley, now head of Rich DeSalvo Consulting. Always good to see you, Rich. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Rick.
Isn't this how we got into the problems with the houses? The bank started giving money and loans to people who bought houses they couldn't afford. Is there any kind of a danger of this happening with folks trying to buy cars they can't afford?
There is an identical danger. It's funny. Imagine this. Banks extending credit, right? Extending credit, and then people but taking that responsibility and maybe not doing the things in their best interest. If we're not careful, we're going to have another cash for clunkers again here.
Yeah, so maybe, thinking to yourself, you want to buy a new car, but being realistic about the kind of car, maybe you need to look at some less expensive cars. But is there any part of this, because I'd like to be an optimist here,
okay,
any part of this that's a sign that when we've seen other signs that the economy is improving?
Well, the economy, first of all, is improving, but let's just say that slow and steady wins the race here. Let's not go celebrate and buy houses we can't afford again, okay?
Right.
That's number one. Number two, though, the banks are extending money finally. Remember, they were taking the dollars that they had and they were holding on to them for dear life because they could make money holding on to it because they were getting it at basically 0% interest. Finally, they're starting to do something with their money, and they're going into the more profitable area, which frankly is auto loans or the subprime consumer market space. Once that starts to trickle through, Rick, then they'll start going back into mortgage lending again.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these borrowers, a lot of whom may have taken a real hit to their credit ratings during the housing crisis, during the recession. What kind of advice would you have for someone who may be looking at taking out a car loan as a way to help sort of try to build up a good credit rating again?
Okay. I would first tell you, I wouldn't necessarily start with the car. I start with the credit cards that you have and the debt that you have there. And paying them off, ideally in full or paying above the minimum, is a great place to start. I will tell you, don't go into debt just necessarily just to have a good rating. If you need a car, let's go get a car and we'll have this conversation. Yeah. But if you want a car, with today's uncertain times right now, save it for a rainy day.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
But for the folks who do need a car,
okay,
for men out there who may need a car, I was reading that there's a study out that says that guys should probably think about taking their wives or their girlfriends with them because women are smarter about buying a car than we guys are.
Well, being married now over 20 years, I have the right to answer this question the way I want to, okay? So here you go. The women are masters of the mundane. They will look at all the details inside, look at Carfaxes. When's the last time was the car maintained? All the cool things that when that goes on, us men, we go unconscious. We don't even pay attention. But there's someone next to you, Rick, who will be your partner, right, looking out for your best interest.
This is my 10th year of marriage. I don't think I quite earned the right to talk that way, but Rich DeSalvo, always good to see you. Thanks very much for coming in. Rich DeSalvo Consulting. We'll see you again real soon.
You got it. My pleasure.